walking in a circle. Where's he going? He'll end up in a park. What a great day. He's walking somewhere.
Good morning. I've just come to Country Park to just get away from everything for a minute. Sometimes in life you just need to take some downtime. That is what we're doing this morning, and you're welcome to come with us. And I actually like to talk about downtime and relaxing and resting and what to do when you're stressed actually today. Yes, so Brandon Country Park, it's free to get in, £3 to park all day, or £2 for a couple of hours, but £3 all day. I think that's very good value car parking. And at the car park there's free toilets. I think there might even be a little cafe there when it's open. Yeah, it's good value and loads of forest land to wander about. So I know some of you kind of do these walks after watching them, so I'll put a Google pin or a Google link, a link to Google Maps to where the car park is, and as you can see there's several walks mapped out, although I think you can just walk where you want really. But today we're going to do the purple walk. We normally get lost, so can't guarantee this will be the purple walk, to be honest, but that's what we're attempting. So you see, come out the car park, all the little purple / grey post, and see where we get to. So autumn is already setting in, leaves are falling, turning yellow, golden brown and red. I don't know about you, but I feel I kind of missed summer this year because I don't do well in a heat wave. So the bit of summer that was just a massive heat wave, spent most of the time just indoors hiding from the sun and the heat really. So I really didn't get those sort of days off when you sit in the garden and have barbecues and stuff. Just too hot for me. So for the last couple of years, people that watch these videos, when I meet up with them around town, a lot of them have said, I really find your videos really relaxing. And that's good news, because that's kind of my aim really. I'm coming to relax, to film the thing, and I think there's too much sort of shouty, noisy, loud music stuff anyway in the world. So the last thing I want to do is produce something that sort of jars people's emotions. So my purpose coming on the walk is for me to relax, and I'll try and communicate that sort of calm in the videos. So it's interesting that people have noticed that, although until now I don't think I've ever mentioned it myself in the video. I think for me the two favourite places to go when I need to relax is either the coast, especially if it's not touristy, but if you can find a quiet bit of coast, I find that quite relaxing, the sound of the sea and so on. After that, the other place is a forest really, but anywhere out in the countryside is fine. There's something about the forest, and apparently scientists have shown that if you're stressed or anything, a walk of half an hour or something or more in a forest away from the noise lowers your blood pressure, eases your breathing, all the rest of it. One of the things I sometimes like to do if I come to woodland is just slow the pace down. So like today we've chosen the purple route, which I think is about 3.5 miles. Whether we'll do that, I don't know. We tend to get lost and miss a post or something like that. But that's what we're attempting to do. In reality, it's not the challenge of doing one of the sort of preordained routes. It's about just coming into nature and just calming down, slowing down, and listening and looking at the sights and sounds around us, smelling that sort of damp earth smell you get in a forest quite often. At the minute we can still hear traffic in the background. That's just because we're near the main road we came in on, but soon the trail will turn and go further into the forest away from traffic noise. The other thing I like about forests is I actually like them when it's raining. I actually prefer forests. We came to this one last year as a family, and it pretty much rained on and off all the time we were here, but it actually added to the experience because you get the sound of the raindrops on the leaves and you get that musty earth smell I was just talking about. The other thing I like to do is kind of tune into the rhythms of nature. So life has a rhythm, and we're not separate from the environment. We're part of the ecosystem that makes everything work. That's why it's so dangerous when we're destructive to the planet. And what I mean by tuning into the nature is that we're coming into autumn. Some of the animals are now beginning to hibernate, slow down and rest to prepare for winter, when everything slows down, things seem to die back. And humans have a really bad habit of thinking we don't hibernate, so therefore we don't need to bother with all that, we don't need to tune into that. But actually we do. We do. If you think, you tend to be your most active during the summer months, and the cold days of winter, kind of doing the basics like getting food and stuff like that, keeping warm. Although we might not hibernate, we do tune in, even though we don't know it sometimes, to the rhythms of nature. So the year itself has rhythms that we can tune into. So out of the dark, dead days of winter, spring eventually comes. Those are the months of new life, of creativity, of fresh ideas. And if you kind of plan to have your fresh ideas and everything in spring, sometimes it's easier than doing it midwinter. Then of course the summer, you're in the full flourish of everything. The beautiful flowers, all the birds and insects are at their peak, and eventually the flowers fade and turn to fruit, and the harvest of nature for the year is given to us. As we move into this time of year, autumn, some folks go foraging in hedgerows for fruit, and that's probably what we would have done centuries ago before we got our fruit from Tesco. As Lidl and Aldi also exist, there are other supermarket outlets. And then winter comes, it looks like everything's died, but actually most of it, yeah, some of it's died back, but a lot of it is just sleeping. The trees look dead, but actually they're not dead, they're just resting. And the more you think about the rhythm of life, the more you'll see rhythms as you go through your life. Each day has a rhythm. As the morning light comes, we start the day. If we've slept well, which isn't always the case, but if we have, we start the day with a full top-up of emotional energy, which is kind of the thing that helps us get things done. It's not only physical energy, but the sort of mental and emotional energy that we need to get some things done. And throughout the day, that energy begins to deplete, and we punctuate the day with taking on fuel, food and drink. As the sun begins to go down, we sense that the day is ending, and some of us rest. But I know in this 24-hour world we live in, some people start work when it goes dark. So each day has a rhythm, and each week has a rhythm, and I think there's a real importance on, we call it the day off in ancient times. Certainly in the Bible times it was called the Sabbath. And when you have that thinking, it's even like the law, you have to take a day off. And not only that, it's sacred. People quite often work 7 days a week for a period and then crash. But actually there does really seem to be something about humanity just needing to be still on 1 day a week, 1 day out of 7. There just seems to be people that take a day of rest or a day off seriously and just switch off from what they do in the rest of the week. They tend to be healthier, certainly in a sort of mental health way, and possibly, kind of spiritual or emotional. But so many of us, I've done it myself, times under pressure where you just think I've got to work 24/7, well perhaps not 24, but work 7 days a week. There's another clue from my past as well, because one of my early jobs was just working in a factory, and as workers started at 8 a.m, management came in at 9, of course, and we finished at 5 or 5:30 or something, and that was Monday to Friday. You actually technically got 2 days off thanks to the unions, thank you very much. But sometimes when the factory got busy, they'd ask you to work Saturdays, and if it got really busy they'd ask you to work Sundays. And I remember back those days, you had to kind of clock in. I know some people still do, but everyone had to kind of clock in, and if you're like 3 minutes late you got docked money just for 3 minutes, and if you left early you got docked money as well. If you did that too often, as someone I know did, you lose the job in the end. So the employers were definitely penny pinchers, and yet if you work Saturday you got time and a half. If you work Sunday you got double time. And some of the sneaky blighters have just got round that these days with 0-hour contracts, and don't get me started. But my point is that if these penny pinching old mills up north were willing to pay you double for working on a Sunday, even they knew that that wasn't normal, that wasn't right, and it was above and beyond what should be expected, and therefore you got double time, which still wasn't very much, to be honest. So yeah, I do kind of I try and tune in to the rhythm, not only of nature but of each day and each week and each month, of the cycles of the moon. If you look at the monthly thing, we talk about the new moon and the waxing and waning of the moon, and that's all connected with tides and werewolves. And you don't really need religious faith to tune into the fact that nature has rhythms and seasons, but also you don't need religion to tell you that something is kind of wrong with humanity and the climate at the moment. We've maxed up everything Everything's got to be super efficient. Market forces are the god of the current age. And you can just look around and just see exhausted people and broken people emotionally. When you come to a forest like this, which is probably where we all kind of lived back in caveman days. Well, I might have lived in a cave, but I might have lived in a forest as well. And I don't know about you, but something in me just tunes in. It's not that trees talk audibly, but it's just like, yeah, this is where we should be, in nature. This is our natural habitat. And actually the other thing for me that gives it away is that the whole experience here is kind of calming and relaxing, but the one thing that's jarring on this walk just slightly is the distant traffic noise, because you can still hear a busy world hurrying about while you stood in this slower, calmer environment. And part of me just wants to scream, stop and be still, but obviously that's not going to happen. And actually, if I start screaming, it destroys the calmness of this environment too. Yes, I think modern life just places ridiculous demands on people, and it's all for greed and all about money. And unfortunately we need money to live in this modern world, generally anyway. I guess there are small communities that here and there that do without it, but most of us need money to get through the week, through the month. And currently even that's kind of coming under so much pressure, causing more stress, causing people to work longer hours or second or third jobs. And somehow I think we have to find a space where we just come away and meditate for a moment and think about where we are in life, what we're doing. And it's very difficult for so many people. I think there's always worth taking a day out to become still, or we're not physically still on this walk, we're actually walking a few miles, 3.5 miles or something, probably more when we get lost. That's good for your sort of cardio workout and everything. Important to keep everything moving. The steeper up the learning curve you get, the older you get. The other thing I find that if you're just in the middle of a load of stress, you just stay in it, everything seems bigger than it actually is and more important than it actually is. Stresses you out more. Over the years we've just found a way of not being intimidated by the tyranny of the urgent, and just stepping back when everything is screaming we've got to be 24/7 on the situation. We found if you just take a day out and come somewhere quiet and be still and in nature, you just realise that actually a lot of the things we're stressing about are not as important as we thought they were. And even the important stuff, that stays important, when you come here you can put it in perspective. A friend of mine used to say that solitude brings perspective. Going off for an early morning walk or an evening walk to watch the sun go down or something like that. When you go round and round in circles at home or at work and you can't see a way forward, sometimes when you just come away, you go back, you might have had an idea, you might not, but even if the situation hasn't changed, you may have changed by just being still. Anyway, that's some of my thoughts on relaxing in nature. What about you? What ways do you use to find calm in stressful times? Or just when you're exhausted, how do you recharge your batteries? Leave a comment in the comments section below, and let's help each other out. Maybe we can all give each other ideas of how to live a sort of calmer or emotionally stable life, or emotionally peaceful life. I think the other thing we've got to recognise is, that 2 years of pandemic. I mean, just had the booster jab yesterday, so in a way it's still there in the background, but that 2 years of lockdowns and the sort of fear coming out of the TV and radio every day, that must have taken a toll on our mental health, just in the background, almost subconsciously, that we're in a sort of threatening situation. And then flipping, what's his name, Putin, starting a war in Europe. Lord, we don't need that in this day and age. There's no winners in war ever, really. So all that current thing brings feeling of instability and threat as well. And while we may not think about it day to day, I think in the background, in our subconscious, because it kind of comes to us through TV and the news and everything, I think there's some stuff going in there that's just telling our subconscious that we may be under threat. And then there's all the fear about fuel and everything. This is probably not helping, is it? But my point is that all that goes in and disturbs us a bit in the background subconsciously. So we really need to find ways to de-stress, to recharge and find peace. I found in recent years just finding ways to come into the present moment tends to bring peace. Most of us are sort of crucified between two thieves. One is regrets of the past, and the other is fear of the future. A lot of us can live in one of those places, either going over and over things that happened in the past, or being quite fearful about what might be in the future. But what I found good in recent years is just when you get in that cycle of worry or regret or whatever, is actually just find a moment to be on your own and come into the present moment. And you can do that anywhere. I mean, right now, if I just stop talking and listen to my own breath, just becoming aware of the rise and fall of your chest as you breathe, just focusing your mind on something physical that's actually inside your body. The other thing you can do is, I think some people call it a body audit or something, but I don't really know all the technical stuff. But just like, even while you're walking, like start with your feet. I mean, I'm aware now as I'm walking that really must get some new walking shoes. If I step on a stone or something, I can feel it in these old shoes. But the point is, you feel the sole of your feet. Think about that, your ankles, and then just think about how your legs are feeling. Are they tired? Are they aching? Are they feeling good? Are they twitchy? And then come up to your hips and up your spine. How's your spine doing? I don't have great posture, I don't think. I haven't done for years. And I do have kind of lower back pain sometimes. And walking actually helps, but sometimes carrying a little backpack sort of flares up the lower back pain. If you just stop and twist, just feel what your spine's doing. That's going to make you dizzy if you're watching the video. And your arms, I mean, this arm is quite achy today because that's where I had the jab. your shoulders, kind of rotate them around. And what this is all doing is just focusing your mind on your physical body, which is obviously in the present moment. And then how's your neck? Is it aching? Mine's a bit stiff, just sort of tension lately. And then your head and all the rest of it. But just thinking through different joints in your body, different parts of your body and how it's feeling, and movement. And this is why it's, especially the older you get, keeping everything moving is really important. And the other thing about just moving, just going on a short walk, whatever you can manage, is that if we're feeling stressed, if we feel stress or grief or fear or whatever, we do actually physically feel that. We talk about gut feelings, don't we? We physically feel that. So once you start moving, it's changing the physicality of how you're feeling as well. It's probably not going to change whatever the situation is you're stressed about, but it changes how you feel about things, because as you walk, the physical act of walking and moving and stretching and stopping and starting, all that is giving you different feelings to any feelings of stress you may have. Also, if you just, most days I'm probably not walking 3 miles, let alone 5 miles or something. If you just walk a bit further when you come out for a walk than you normally would, then it's up in your sort of cardio health as well. And people talk about getting that glowing feeling after they've been on a walk or a run. I mean, personally, I couldn't run a bath, let alone a marathon. I was rather hoping it would rain today. Just been thinking about sort of more atmospheric walk videos. And maybe it's because I grew up in Manchester, where, as we know, it rains all the time. It doesn't, but that's what people think. It does rain a lot. And whenever I'm in rain, or more, it's more when I'm indoors. And I sit in a conservatory and you can hear rain on the roof, or you're under a little veranda or something. I could watch the rain for hours. Very calming. When we were kids, building a little den like this, it's just such a fantastic thing. And we'd go into the local park. It's fantastic. When we were little kids in Manchester, going into the local park and building a den like that, it's just the stuff of dreams. Our local park was predominantly made of a rhododendron bushes. Rhododendron is not a native plant, and it's also quite invasive. I think they're trying to tame it these days, but you almost, if you got into the middle of the bush, you almost had a ready built den. You just had to get a few sticks to finish it off. Sometimes you used to get told off by the park keeper, but it weren't doing any harm really. What is this? I don't think I've ever seen this before. Well, we've been here a few times. I've never come across this. I thought it was a little chapel, but it's Edward Bliss's mausoleum. So he was the guy that owned this estate, all of this and much more than we've been walking around, back in 1845. When he died, his wife made sure he was put in this mausoleum that he wanted, and when she died she was put with him. 1903, when the estate was sold, they were removed and put in St. Peter's churchyard, which I assume is a local church. I'm glad they've kept the building. I wish in a way that they kind of have it open. Maybe they have times when they open it, when they're doing guided tours or something. Edward Bliss, that's a great name, isn't it? The bliss of being Edward Bliss. And the fact that this was like one family's garden, one family's estate, just mind-boggling in the sort of inequality. And I'm not sure what Edward Bliss made his money from. Maybe I have to look that up on Tinterweb. But yeah, some of these wealthy families that just owned huge estates like this, just mind-boggling. But I'm glad we live in an age where we can all come and enjoy the grounds. It says that Edward Bliss made his money from gunflint during the Napoleonic Wars. So he made his money from war. And there's a huge giant redwood tree here, and this one is about, according to the board here, is about half the size or slightly less than half the size of Big Ben, but the tallest one recorded is taller than Big Ben. And yes, I know, before you all start typing in the comments, it's the bell that's called Big Ben, not the tower. It's the Queen Elizabeth Tower, or whatever it is. But to those of you who are not pedantic will know that I just meant the tree is this tall compared to this tower. It's incredible, we have actually found the car park, so we didn't get lost. Thanks for joining me on this walk. Thanks for joining us on this walk. We're going to put the kettle on in the van, have a cup of tea, cup of coffee, and I'll see you in the next one.